by their boss. You got to get to the boss beforehand. And governors are extremely influenced by letters and editorials and all of the above.
Thank you, Jack. So I've got a couple questions on the management of young Menhaden. So please discuss briefly, and I'll throw this out to whoever wants to answer it, the factors influencing reproductive success of Menhaden, and then what management measures are currently in place or proposed to protect young of year Menhaden? I see. Please, Joseph, you got your mic.
The management system that we have in place is based on, and their management goal is spawning stock biomass, which is a technical way to say leaving enough reproductively mature fish in the ocean, female fish in the ocean, to sustain the species. They don't manage the annual survivability of the young that's driven by environmental conditions, which can change. Its temperature, salinity, pollution, any number of things could impact, and I don't think it's fully understood. But the management system is you leave enough reproductively mature individuals in the ocean so that when the conditions are right, you take advantage of it, and when conditions are poor, you have enough out still surviving to sustain the species at the level, at your targeted level. So there's no, but the only other thing to consider is the amount that's being caught at the mouth of the bay and in the bay is proportionately much higher juveniles. So if you're catching fish before they reach reproductive age, you're limiting the amount of young in the year.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Jack, which leads to this question for you. Of the 80% of Menhaden quota taken in Virginia waters, what percentage of that is taken in the Chesapeake Bay, and what impact does the reduction fishery have on the overall success of other fish in the bay?
The percentage that Omega, for instance, harvest that comes from the bay varies from year to year, but the last numbers I saw, it's about 50% of what they take comes out of Chesapeake Bay, the remainder along the Atlantic coast up as far as New Jersey. There actually have been studies in the bay. In fact, I chaired a large study at ASMFC looking at what's called localized depletion. In other words, is the resource locally within Chesapeake Bay being harvested to extremes such that it's affecting striped bass and bluefish and all the other species. And unfortunately, we were never able to reach a conclusion that in fact localized depletion was occurring. That doesn't mean it wasn't. They just couldn't prove that it was occurring. And of course, that's probably another good topic for additional research. Remember, when you don't have the science that you want, that means you have to be more conservative in your thinking, right? You don't go out and just, okay, we can't prove it, let's just harvest all more. No, you have to be more conservative, and that's why one of these points in this public hearing document is where should the bay cap be set, and it should be set a lot lower than what it is now.
I just want to add, because it hasn't come up yet, of all the states in the Atlantic coast, and pretty much everyone used to have some form of reduction in Menhaden fishery, Virginia is the only state that allows fishing, per-state fishing within state waters within 3 miles. So what you see off Virginia Beach, that doesn't happen anywhere else on the coast. The interaction with the local charter boat fishermen, that doesn't happen anywhere else on the coast.
And Dick, I wanted to ask you, how directly can you connect the Menhaden fishery to what's happened in the Chesapeake Bay with stripers and with game fish?
I think it's quite difficult to say. I would certainly say that striped bass don't have and it's a choice, which is they're going to be thinner, they're going to be more subject to disease, like trichinosis, and I think Kyle just talked about this great. I think there is a direct correlation, and therefore it's vitally important to the ecosystem, spread back to other larger creatures, including the fact to make sure that Great Menhaden restrictions are put in place.
Thanks, sir. Jack, can you tell me of the 400 million pounds of menhaden harvested, what percentage roughly supports other industries grabbing big fish? So what percentage goes to omega's reduction industry? What
77% goes to reduction.
a lot more precise than I hoped for.
And 23% is for bait up down the Atlantic coast.
And we mentioned earlier, I'm not sure, forgive me, because I'm not sure who mentioned it, that flounder was 11 million pounds, stripers were 6 million pounds. Has that always been the approximate number?
Now
I think we just lost it.
those were, the 11 million and 6 million, I think, were numbers from last year or the year before. They go up and down.
Right.
Populations naturally change size over the years.
And this is probably the signal question for the night. What can we do to influence the MRC being granted regulatory authority?
Like the governor, like their General Assembly representatives. And I'm not going to tell you it's going to happen overnight because it hasn't. They've been, addressing that issue for 30 years and haven't been successful yet. But don't give up.
Yeah, and I think this is a more rhetorical question than any others already anyway. Both of our last two governors have received campaign contributions from Omega. We really expect them to ignore Omega and support ecosystem management. And with that, I have gone through the questions that I've got, so I'm going to hand this over to Harry Lessing.
Well, I think it easy on you. I'm pretty sure that you recall that I said when we finish, I hope you all have a better understanding of the ecological importance of these little fish. See some people nodding. Good. I also said I hope you have a better understanding of how complex the management of these fish is. See some more people nodding. Good. So you're right with me so far. Now I'm down to the what can we do? And where's our chief scientist right here? Chris Moore is CBF. Chris is the chief scientist, and he can tell you precisely what to do. And as soon as you're through, Chris, I want you to hand the microphone to your boss, and he's going to say the last word.
Thank you very much. And actually, Jack did a great job already teeing this up for me when he talked about the importance of individual letters to ASMFC about this issue. And most of you, when you walked in tonight, you should have gotten a half-page sheet on your seat there, and it talks about the current public comment period is open right now. It's open now. We had a public hearing here in Virginia last night, great attendance, about 50 people were there. Talked about the importance of donating to them and how they think this management plan should be changed to do that. So we've given you a couple ways to, a couple of themes to follow as part of that we think are important. The most important one is option one that's in there. Issue one, option B is the one that we've recommended. This is actually rooted in a stock assessment report and a management plan change. Jack knows this back in 2001, where ASMFC first recognized the importance of menhaden as a forage species and their ecological role, and not just to harvest them. And so I tell people a lot of times, fisheries management moves at a glacial pace, especially at ASMFC. We're 15 years past that, way past that, and we're finally getting to this issue of ecological importance, ecological reference points. And so commenting on issue one, supporting option B is the most important. I have a couple other things there that you can do, but the sheet of paper has the email address where you can see your comments. As Jack mentioned, personal comments are the most helpful, but we have some guide points there for you to use as well. We hope to take advantage of that. We've set a bar high on this issue in the past, over 130,000 comments in previous public comment periods. We want to make sure we match that during this comment period as well. So thank you all for coming and participating in that part of things tonight. I'll turn the mic over to Will Baker before we leave.
Thank you very much, Chris, and Harry, thank you. You sprang this idea on me that I would get the last word. I wasn't prepared for that. Joseph, Jack, Dick, just an absolutely fabulous job. And Don, terrific. And the editorials, please keep them coming. They are so good. For me to have the last word is sort of silly. I am a terrible fisherman. I am certainly not a scientist. I probably know less on this topic than most, if not all of you in this room. But I think I have a certain level of common sense that has served me pretty well over the 40-some years I've been doing this work at the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. And I'm reminded of a very simple concept called the precautionary principle. You know, why don't we take a little less trees off the planet until we know we're not taking too many? Why don't we put a little less pollution into the water until we know we're not harming anything? And for this, it's obvious. Why don't we take a little less menhaden out of the sea until we know we have enough for them to do the job that God or nature or whomever you want to thank put them there for? It's just basic common sense. And it makes me mad as